combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. And if you're brand new to the Jimmy Rants concept, it's pretty darn cool. Head on over to JimmyRants.com, and you can see how it all works. We start off on Instagram Live, do these live on Instagram every single day, sometimes twice a day. And then you can see it for 24 hours there if you didn't see it live. And then we pop it over to YouTube, where you can see all of the past episodes, Forever and Ever Amen, on YouTube. And then the all-new Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best snippets of these Jimmy Rants for you. Again, it's all housed at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about this whole notion that when you go on a low-carb, moderate-protein, high-fat, ketogenic diet, that you get the flu. We've all heard this phrase about the keto flu. Did you catch the keto flu? What do you do about it? Is this normal? That can't be healthy if you're getting the flu when you start on keto. And so people's imaginations run wild. Can I just say how much I really hate that phrase, the keto flu? Because it's not the flu at all, you guys. If you think you've got the keto flu, nah, you just got electrolyte imbalance. That's all it is, you guys. And here's what happens. So when you come to keto, you are ostensibly a sugar burner, okay? So you've been eating mostly carbohydrates as your primary fuel source, as the way that you nourish your body, mostly with sugar coming from carbohydrates. Then when you shift over to a ketogenic diet, you're eating low carb, moderating down on the protein, which again is a part of the sugar burning process. If you eat well too much protein within the context of more carbs, that's no bueno. And then you're eating higher fat. And so low carb, moderate protein, high fat shifts that dynamic from being mostly a sugar burner to being mostly a fat and ketone burner. So what happens to the body physically? What happens when you make that shift? And it generally takes about 2 to 4 weeks for most people. You have to dump every bit of the excess glucose that is in your body. Well, where is glucose stored in the body? Do you know? So it's stored in the muscles. So in your muscles, all throughout your body, not just your biceps, but all throughout your body, your muscles store what's called glycogen. So glycogen is that energy that's available to you on demand that will give you the energy when you're a sugar burner. And in fact, you probably have heard within the context of people that build muscle in the gym that they do a glycolytically demanding workout. Well, that's what they're talking about. Something that would require that glycogen to kick in, okay? So in that glycogen, guess what else is there? There's water, which is why when you shift over to being ketogenic, you kind of have to drink more water. And you'll find that you pee a lot. That's where the glycogen is being dumped out of the body. It's making you excrete that excess water that had all that sugar in it. Well, guess what? You got to go behind that and you've got to rehydrate. So not with Gatorade. and don't listen to the Sprite commercials of obey your thirst. That ain't going to quench it either. You really need just pure unadulterated water. But guess what else is in the glycogen mixture with water and glycogen? It's salt. So your body is dumping out excess salt just as if you were working out, just as if you were running a marathon. And so you have to replenish the salt. And so when people start getting these keto flu symptoms where their muscles ache and they feel fatigued, they might feel just blah, a lot of that is where their body is trying to rebalance itself from the glycogen stores being dumped, which had the water, which had the salt maybe some potassium and other things in there. So you have to replenish these things. So when you shift to keto, if you want to avoid that so-called keto flu, you drink more water, just plain water. You eat more salt. And yes, you heard me right, eat more salt. People neglect this essential element of a ketogenic diet so often. Every day, oh my gosh, I got incredible leg cramps and I just feel fatigued all the time. I thought this diet was supposed to give me energy. It does when you do it the right way. And one of the ways that you do it the right way is you replenish the salt that you're dumping. It makes sense. And then the primary things you want to replenish are salt and water, but then magnesium is another one that you want to replenish. So that's one that you can take as a supplement. I would highly recommend you probably take it about an hour before bedtime, a magnesium oxide. Don't get magnesium citrate unless you like poopy pants. Magnesium oxide about an hour before bedtime will help you sleep. And then the last element is potassium, which if you use those salt alternatives, most of those are potassium based. If you like avocados, avocados have twice as much potassium in it as a banana. And of course, banana is no bueno on keto. So replenish all of these things. And this keto flu that you think you have isn't the flu at all. I really wish we could come up with another term for this, but people seem to like the keto flu to describe it. It's really electrolyte imbalance. So your electrolytes are out of balance. You just got to get them back in balance again. And here's the thing. Once you become keto adapted, which again only takes 2 to 4 weeks, once you're fully keto adapted again, all of that imbalance becomes perfectly balanced again because you're no longer dumping glycogen stores, which would have the excess water, which would have the salt and the sodium and the potassium and magnesium that you're dumping that you would have to replenish. All that's in balance at that point. And especially if you're eating nutrient-rich, real whole foods that would have those things in them naturally, you're going to replenish them just fine. And by the way, when I say salt, I don't mean that little Morton salt with the blue and the little girl with the umbrella. That ain't salt. That just ain't salt. Please don't use that crap. It's man-made chemicals. You want pink Himalayan sea salt. Really, any kind of sea salt will do. I prefer pink Himalayan sea salt. Tastes really good. I like it actually the rock kind, not the really fine powder, but the rock. And it really just has a bite to it when you use it on your food. Sometimes I'll even just stick it under my tongue. If you want like a little pick-me-up, stick some pink Himalayan sea salt in the rock form underneath your tongue and just kind of savor it. It's really awesome how good it makes you feel. So if, again, you're just joining us, you got the keto flu? No, you don't. What you have is electrolytes that are just out of balance. So get them back in balance again, and the so-called keto flu just goes away. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for being here. Hello from Saudi Arabia. Thanks for being here, Ume. All right. Good morning, Ashton. Thank you guys for being here. Paula Johnson, 61, muscles and liver. Yeah, in the muscles and in the liver is where all of those glycogen is stored, and you need to dump it, and you're going to dump it when you go keto. All right. Paula Johnson, 61, says you still need iodine as well. That Morton salt does have iodine in it. Yeah, but Paula, that's an excuse, my dear. You can get all the iodine that you need without having to have man-made chemical salt to get it. And I've heard this argument from people say, well, you need iodized salt because where else could you possibly get iodine from? Have you heard of this thing called kelp? How about this other thing called seaweed? There are so many food sources for iodine that it's silly to think that you have to flood your body with man-made chemical-based salt when you can get it very naturally from other sources. So have the sea salt and then add in some kelp. I just got this complex pill thing from a company that has kelp, and there was something else that was in it, and it was kind of this mixture that was like, whoa, that's kind of cool. So I start taking that for iodine. Of course, if you have thyroid issues naturally, you need to be careful with even dosing with iodine. But you're right, we do need iodine. I just don't think we need it in the iodized salt. Using Morton's iodized salt, man-made salt, to get iodine is like eating a cake, a birthday cake, for eggs. It's exactly the same thing. So, do you get eggs when you eat a cake, birthday cake? Yeah. But what else are you getting? That's the problem. Fit, Happy, Humble, what is your advice on hair loss on keto? Well, I'm not doing general questions here. I'm talking about the keto flu today. If you want to email me, I'm happy to talk about that. That's mostly something that happens just with the diet change naturally, and sometimes it's you're not eating enough calories does that. But email me, liveinlowcarbman@charter.net, or here on Instagram, and I'll be happy to address that. But we're on focus here on Jimmy Rants about the keto flu here today, about electrolytes being out of balance. Firewolf Ashton says, I noticed if I don't get enough salt, I feel tired and a headache. Yeah, so tired and headache and those kinds of things are all considered the keto flu. And people call it the keto flu because that's what everybody calls it. And yet, it's not the flu at all. It's just your body responding to the lack of the essential elements in balancing your electrolytes. I don't know why we have to make this hard, but I think part of the issue is people fear salt like they fear saturated fat. So when you tell them you go keto, well, they're kind of afraid to eat saturated fat already. And then you're telling them to have the other thing that they're concerned about with cardiovascular health, eat more salt, and their brain just can't wrap their heads around it. So people neglect those things. I did. When I started on the Atkins diet, I was so afraid of saturated fat. I was so afraid of salt. And I got the worst Charlie horse leg pain in the world. Christine will tell you, I was screaming in the middle of the night during the Atkins diet in those early days. And it was murder. And if I'd known all it was an electrolyte imbalance, I'd have been gouging my mouth with plenty of salt. But I didn't know. So I'm trying to let you guys know now that that's really all it is. And so if you're tired and got a headache, it's probably a lack of salt. So put some under your tongue. It works like a charm. I didn't think of those foods for iodine. Thank you. You're welcome, Paula. See, that's why I'm here, to serve the public. Hello, Olga. Thanks for being here. Rice Allet, I love the cake analogy. Yeah, I mean, to do Morton's salt just to get the iodine is like eating birthday cake for the eggs. Yeah. What was that old bit that they'd feed them chocolate cake for breakfast because there's eggs in it? Yeah, that's not how it works. Rebecca K, 1974, will the salt under the tongue trigger the insulin response if you're fasting through breakfast? No. I've actually used salt underneath the tongue during fasting, like days on end fasting. It's a great trick. It tricks your brain into thinking that you're getting sustenance. So it calms down all that fatigue that you might have, headaches like what was mentioned earlier. But there should not be an insulin response to that at all because, number one, salt is non-caloric. So you're not getting calories. You're not getting some sort of a sweet taste on the mouth, on the tongue, that some people might get an insulin response. I've never heard someone say that they got an insulin response from a salt taste. Salt alone taste should not trigger an insulin response. If my electrolytes are wacky, I feel like crap and I get awful leg cramps. Yeah. Olga, and so people say, oh, this keto thing made me feel like crap. Well, no, the lack of electrolyte balance made you feel like crap. Your failing to deal with that was what was wrong. It wasn't keto that was wrong. It was your failing to deal with that. And see, here's the thing. People have been so used to eating junk food being a sugar burner that when they finally fuel their body correctly, they forget you have to kind of fine-tune areas of your diet so you're eating more of the good stuff again, and the good stuff being sodium and potassium and magnesium and getting ample amounts of water. You haven't been doing that with your crappy diet. Now suddenly you need to be doing that, and it's the correct way. Just because we've been doing it the wrong way all these years doesn't mean that when you shift over to keto and you have to change things, that suddenly this is wrong. No, this is the right way and has been the right way all along. You just needed to get with the program. Fit, happy, humble. So you think when you get lightheaded, you're not getting enough salt and water? Possibly. Also, you may not be eating enough calories, so there's a lot of reasons why you get lightheaded on keto. But most of the time, those kind of symptoms of fatigue and, oh my gosh, I don't feel well, it's because you're not adequately salting your food or getting salt in your body. I'm a big fan of just getting a couple of pinches, sticking it under your tongue, and just letting it ooze there into your body. You will feel better. If you've never done that before, get you some pink Himalayan sea salt, stick it under your tongue, just savor it, enjoy it, and what you might find is where you thought you were hungry, your body was actually screaming at you for salt. And your body will do that. Your body will sometimes send you signals that you think your body needs carbs or you want carbs. Actually, what you're needing is nutrients. And you got to remember, salt is such a critical nutrient that you need to put in your body. Sherry smiles. My dad said to eat more salt for my headaches. And I said, I won't. That makes my blood pressure go up. He said, I think we've been blaming the wrong white crystal. Yeah, so blood pressure with salt, everybody worries about it. Can I tell you the segment of the population that has to worry about blood pressure going up eating salt is so minuscule? Would you believe that if I have 100 people watching this right now, 95 of you have no problem whatsoever, no problem whatsoever with salt? It's 5 of you out of 100. So 5 out of 100 people have to be concerned about their salt intake when it comes to blood pressure. And I even question that if we're talking about real salt, pink Himalayan sea salt like we're talking about, and not this man-made salt. I'm wondering how much of the sensitivity to salt has to do with the refining process of fake salt, the Morton's little girl with the umbrella salt. That's junk. But if you're eating real whole salt, is that a game changer for those people that are salt sensitive? I think it is, because you're getting also a lot of micro minerals in that pink Himalayan sea salt that you're not getting from the Morton salt. And maybe it doesn't raise your blood pressure like you think it does. So, but your dad's right, Sherry. We have blamed the wrong white crystal. It definitely should be sugar. People get scared of salt thinking their blood pressure will go up. Yeah, Ashton, they do. But as I just explained, it's a non sequitur. Most people don't need to worry about this. For sodium, I take Soleil water. It is my best friend now. Yeah, a lot of people like that Soleil water. We talked about this on my podcast Keto Talk several months back. To me, I love salt, pink Himalayan sea salt, and just stick it underneath the tongue. Your body is an electrical machine. Salt is an electrical conductor. We need it. That's a great way to put it, Olga. So thank you for sharing that. So again, if you're watching this Jimmy Rants and you've got the so-called keto flu, no, you don't. You probably have an electrolyte imbalance. Grandma Does Keto says when my OBGYN tells women to reduce salt, most women get enlarged thyroids during pregnancy. Don't do that. It's dumb. And yeah, you know, as a nurse, you're seeing this all the time. And unfortunately, I think like the saturated fat debate that's going on, that people, oh, is it good? Is it bad? Is it neutral? What is it? I think we're going to have those same kind of debates regarding salt. There is a great book that you definitely want to pick up called The Salt Fix. It's by Dr. James DiNicolantonio. You can go look him up on Amazon. That book's there now, but really fabulous argument for why people need to be eating more salt and how it can fix a lot of the so-called chronic health issues that people are dealing with, and they just don't know about it. All right, guys, that's it for this Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, we start on Instagram at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. and then you can engage live with me there, and then you can watch it for up to 24 hours after on Instagram. Then we pop it over to YouTube. You can watch the replay there at your leisure, and the all-new Jimmy Rants podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Go check it out. We take the best of the best moments from these rants, put a nice little music bed underneath it. It's a really fun show to listen to if you're traveling in your car and you need something to listen to. So thanks for that. JimmyRants.com is the website. We'll be back a little bit later on. Bye.